We're in the parks for this week's Disneyland Construction Update. Tianas Palace has been revealed. We're on week 3 of the Splash Mountain closure. Toads looks fun. Remember this guy? And plus updates from downtown Disney and San Franokyo. But let's get started first in Adventureland and the ongoing situation with the Adventureland bathrooms. A couple weeks ago, we reported that the restrooms in Adventureland, next to Tiki Room, closed unexpectedly and rather suddenly. And as of now, they are still closed. Work is ongoing. They're going to be closed for a little while. The women's restroom is still open. The men's restroom is not. And this week, we took a look through the walls to see if we could figure out what was going on back there. You'll recall that when this story first broke, the reports was that there was a rupture, a water line rupture. But we thought it was just the bathrooms, but it turns out it's not the bathrooms at all. In fact, the men's room was actually open for a minute. It's closed today, but it was open for a minute. Where this took place is in that sort of emerald rocky waterfall feature that was in front of the restrooms, and that rocky emerald waterfall feature has been obliterated. All that you see here is what is space that used to be. You should be seeing the rock wall here through these cracks. Here's another look, and right there, what's coming to focus, that's the entrance to the men's room. And it used to be that you'd have to go around the rock wall, the waterfall, in order to get to those restrooms. Now it is just completely, like I said, it's obliterated. Man, the damage that they've had to take this thing out completely. It is completely removed. And it makes me wonder if they're just going to open this thing back up with no feature at all, or if they're going to try to replace that. Because that was not an insignificant thing. You know, that themed feature was fairly prominent. It was part of the opening, part of the entrance to Adventureland. It caught your eye. And now it's gone. And it's going to be really weird if they don't put that back. Not that we won't get over it, but it would be weird. And there you can see, that's pretty much the culprit right there. That space in front of the restroom. They have completely dug up everything below grade. So clearly that's where the issue happened, is in that, you know, where they're working on those pipes down there. Very obviously this is a water issue or a pipeline, you know, water pipe issue. And they are having, I don't know what they're doing, man. It looks like mayhem. So this could be a while, you guys. This could be a while because they don't look like they're anywhere near wrapping that up. We'll keep going into Adventureland, where once again this week, Indiana Jones is closed. It was closed last week too. I didn't report on it, but it seems like every time we do this construction report, Indy is closed. I think I might just make that a running bit in the show. Is Indy open or not? It is not open when we did this report. Stay tuned next week for the next chapter in this story. But luckily, right next door is more interesting things to cover, namely the Adventureland Treehouse. And you can see that they have erected, last week we saw one, a sign post that had been erected. Now there's about, I don't know, 5, 6 different things that they have erected. Some of those are light fixtures, some of those are signs. And if we look closely, you can actually see that some of those aren't themed to Adventureland. They're actually themed, they're wrought iron. They're themed for New Orleans Square, I would bet. Those on the middle and the left, those are obviously Adventureland Treehouse and probably sign features. And then there you can see on the right, the two that are themed more towards New Orleans Square than they might be for Adventureland. And to the left, we can see a new Scrim has been put up, and actually a new sign feature there right in front of it. Most likely that's going to indicate the entrance. This is the entrance to Adventureland, or to the Adventureland Treehouse, inspired by Swiss Family Robinson. You'll recall that they have flipped the entrance and the exit. The stairs for the entrance are going to be here on the left, whereas before they were actually they're not really flipping because the entrance was actually right down the middle of right down the middle of the Adventureland walkway. But the exit is going to be the stairs that you actually wound up going up in the before times. Anyway, they're creating the stairs here to get you up into the treehouse, to get you started, and where your first stop will be that center room there, the music room, and then you'll make your way to the left into the daughter's room. I was also able to get the camera through some knotholes and to see if we can't find anything. Mostly just, more mesh there. That mesh there is for the future rock work that is going to create the definition for the waterfall area. And the little river that feeds the water wheel. There's some more mesh for you there as well. So they're creating a lot of new rock work. They're not just reusing the old one, but creating new stuff. Probably because they have to reroute it. Because the entrance, which is what we're looking at here, the entrance is about where a lot of that, you know, the stairs and part of the waterfall feature existed previously. This looks like they're creating, that looks like the queue right there. I mean, not the queue, but like a railing of some kind. Well, that's not going to be the railing, but it looks like that's what they're building, is some sort of definition for the exit path leading you out of the treehouse. Quick look at the daughter's room. I don't see anything visible here. Looks to be about as we left it last week. Same story for the son's room on the right. This is interesting. You know, it's funny how this view, the Adventureland Treehouse, affects your experience in New Orleans Square. I'm just really enjoying watching this area develop and seeing how this, you know, this new scene is going to play out in both Adventureland and New Orleans Square. But for now, let's turn around, because right behind us are some really cool developments at Tianas Palace. Tiana and her palace have been revealed. Look at that. The scrim and scaffolding are now completely gone throughout the exterior of the new restaurant. The only scrim and scaffolding remaining right now is whatever they're creating on the roof of Tianas Palace, which is going to be, you know, the wheelhouse window and the steam pipes that are going to, you know, that's a new feature that they're bringing to this restaurant, this dining location. But otherwise, you know, the paint and polish are complete. This is the final product for Tianas Palace that you're looking at here. The final color. And it's actually revealed a new feature, something that has made me kind of happy. I have said in the past many times that I am a sucker for lighting features, for like ground effects and lighting effects. It's sort of a beaded necklace feature, you know, for these lighting effects, you know, on the trim of the building and along the railings. It looks great, even in the daylight here. I'm looking forward to seeing how that plays out, how that features in the final product when everything is revealed. But also at night, it's going to look really cool at night. I'm looking forward to seeing that. Here's another look from the fountain side. First, obviously, they haven't done anything to the bandstand, but that looks really nice. I really like that. It's a nice touch. It's, you know, not too obvious, not too flamboyant, but it does add a little more character to the exterior. I'm in favor of this. I like this. While we're here, we'll see if we can't see anything for that ornamental piece that they're adding onto the roof of Tianas Palace, but it looks about like we left it. There's still more work to be done there. They're not there, or they're not quite done with that yet. We couldn't see any construction crews. This was on Sunday, so there was nobody working. So we didn't see any progress being made on the wheelhouse window like we saw last week. Here's a view from the train station, and again, you get a good look at the new gold color for that railing where Tiana is going to be hopefully meeting guests or saying hello to guests. She's not really be meeting anybody up there, but you'll be able to see her. Here's a look at how it compares to, you know, this is just before the restaurant closed. So it looks more or less actually the same, the color does, but it's just brighter and more vibrant. And it's interesting how much of a difference the gold color makes on that balcony, and how much it draws out the rest of the yellow. Because before, if you had asked me what color French Market was, I would have said it's green. I would have said the French Market is green. But even though a solid half of that space is yellow, right? Isn't it? You can't really see because the awning is covering it, but the downstairs section, that's all yellow, mostly yellow with green trim. But obviously, new paint makes everything look fresher and brighter. From here, we can also see that the mint julep bar looks to be fully restored. I can't tell if that's got new paint or not. They had it covered up. I don't think that's. I wonder actually if they repainted the top half. It would seem likely that they would repaint the bottom, but I don't know. I don't know if that sign there, the mint julep bar sign, or the paint on the wall has been freshened up. I hope it has. I mentioned that no work had been done yet on the bandstand. They're still waiting for that. But I didn't notice this right away. It took me a second to catch it. But they have installed the wiring, I don't know what you call these, that holds the canopy in place for the French market or for Tianas Palace. Those wires were not there previously. Now here's something that for whatever reason, I assumed that they were going to raise the canopy a little higher so that you could see Tiana. You can see those wires connect to the lower half, the lower third of the balcony where Tiana would come out. So that means the canopy is going to, you wouldn't be able to see her through the canopy. So I checked the concept art, and yeah, look at that. I mean, right? Are they going to retract the canopy? Because that's what it looks like here. Either the canopy is going to be able to retract, so they can pull it back and reveal Tiana, or it's just going to stay in that open position, and there's going to be a whole heck of a lot of sunlight. Or I guess there is a third possibility, and there is no Tiana at all, and that they leave the canopies fully extended and covered, and you never see Tiana ever. That's a third possibility. But why would they put this in the concept art if that wasn't the plan? But I don't know. It's a possibility, because I guess you can't put Tiana in this concept art, but also have the Tiana, or I should say the canopy fully in place. So actually, that's probably even money now at this point in my head. Even money that we never see Tiana. Looking forward to seeing how that plays out. And we'll take a quick peek into the area to see. I keep checking here to see if I can see anything happening, but that still very much looks gutted to me. This is the interior of what used to be the French market. If I can try a little further in, again, you can see right through to the opening to the door leading out, and I don't see that they have kept anything in there. I think that has been fully stripped. Look for a possible new theme, a new paint and theme inside. I feel like they're going to maintain the structure, the way that they have the sort of, what do they call it? I don't know what they call that buffet style, but it's not exactly a buffet, but that same style of service. I think they're going to keep that there, but it's just going to have a different paint and theming scheme. Let's keep going through New Orleans Square, past the Haunted Mansion, which had a 25-minute wait when I walked by. Very, very slow day here on this Sunday. And head to Tianas Bayou Adventure for our weekly update from the in-progress attraction. Something I noticed immediately when I got there is that they took down the standby wait board. The board that would tell you how long the wait is. That's where it located. It's gone. So they'll probably be replacing that with something else, likely. No update for you from the drop part of Splash Mountain Bayou Adventure. Week 3, and the Secret Path is still open. I'm just going to keep doing this because I love the Secret Path, and I want to make sure that everybody who loves it like I do knows it's still here. Week 3, and it is still here. Week 3, and you can still see the rivers of America and catch a Columbia or Mark Twain sail by. It's not quite as blissful having that green scrim down there and no sounds of an attraction or guests, but this is still lovely. I still enjoy this quite a bit. Nothing happening here on the flume drop return area. That's still week 3, and the Briar Patch is still open, and Brer Rabbit and his friends are still found inside the Briar Patch. This is a point where we'll be watching to see how things develop. This is the old Fast Pass station, distribution station. They're going to be redeveloping that area into queue space. I'll be watching to see what stuff remains and what stuff goes like that. I don't really know what that structure is, but will that remain? I don't know. Another spot where we'll be trying to see if we can't observe construction progress. When I look at this and I see what's happening here, it makes me realize more and more every week that the exterior of Splash Mountain will be largely untouched. That is my feeling, that all that we're seeing here, if they do anything at all, it's just to make it look newer and fresher. But I don't think they're going to be changing the theme at all. Or I should say that the look of it. Weekly update with another bouncing Tigger found roaming through Critter Country. Here's the front of the old Splash Mountain. And what I'm looking for here is just to see if there's any update on, you know, what they're doing to the building. And actually there is some. You can see that they have stripped, the wood has been stripped off the structure here. It's hard to tell from last week's footage, but there was a decidedly different look. I don't know how else to describe it. There must be like some kind of application, or either they have sanded it down, buffed it down, or they've removed an application that they put on top of the bare wood. But you can see that it is they are not as it was last week, or that wood is not as it was last week. That is just plain bare wood, unfinished wood. And I wonder if they're going to be doing the rest of it, like the roof area there. And for that matter, the facade. See, that's how the wood would have looked back in the day, right there. Nothing like that to be found on the backside of Splash Mountain. This all looks to be about as we left it last week. By the way, we asked what they were building here. The consensus seems to be that that is just some sort of debris chute. I kind of figured that's what it was, but it was different, constructed differently than what I've seen in the past. But yeah, that's most likely just a debris chute. So So, you know, if they're whatever they're working on, destroying or whatever, they can just drop down that thing and it lands on the ground. Keeping an eye out for any sort of visible features that are in the ride that might change or be removed. For example, this thing back here, you'll recall that's right about where you make that turn around where the vegetables are. I don't know whose place that is. I can't remember. Hopefully I found the time to get some ride-through footage. Maybe we can spot that in the ride-through footage. But as I record this, I cannot remember whose house that is. But there's an array of structures like that throughout the exterior part of the ride that I'm wondering if that's going to last or not. Here's another one. Again, I don't know whose house that is. That's somebody's house. Will that remain? Will that get changed? I mean, I don't see why they would change it. They don't need to. It looks great. It's lovely. So keep it. Thank you. Visiting Critter Country, though, in this backside is decidedly less, I don't know, pretty. I mean, it's still nice. I still love coming back here because I still get to look at the building at least. But yeah, those walls up are going to be, that's going to be exhausting after 18 months. But we'll be coming back here every week until this is done. By the way, I should mention on our way out that they turned the water off at Pooh, at the Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh. The little river there, the Pooh Sticks River and Pooh Sticks Bridge, the water's off, and the little waterfall way in the back is also off. They did this for Galaxy's Edge as well, so I would expect, just for whatever, hopefully they find a way to keep that water from getting too stagnant. But there you go, that's Critter Country, and I'll take you next to a little bit. You know, we need some zen. Those walls are bumming me out a little bit, so here's the Mark Twain from the Rivers of America. And when we arrived into Galaxy's Edge after enjoying that Mark Twain, I noticed that the queue for rides was almost completely bare. Nobody. I couldn't hardly see anybody. There's some folks. I finally found some folks making their way into the attraction. I checked the wait time and it said 60 minutes. I had to know. I had to know if that was, how accurate that was. 60 minutes, yet there's nobody in the exterior part of the queue. You hardly ever see that. So I got in, made my way quickly through this part of it, but then we did wind up quickly meeting the back of the queue right about at the waterfall before you enter the interior part of the Rise of Resistance queue, which was quite full. But it moved pretty quickly. It took us a total of 20 minutes to get to the raid room, and then 30 minutes to get to the hangar, the stormtrooper room. But what we found there was kind of astonishing. I've never seen this. Well, this is good though. It gives us a good look at I've been on this ride, I don't know, 20, 30 times. I've never seen this except for on opening. Opening day was the only time I ever saw a mass of people like this, but that was just because everybody was excited and taking pictures. I've never seen guests collected and queued. There were 4 switchbacks out here in the hangar. Unbelievable. But it was cool though, because we got, you know, the best looks we'll ever get of the stormtroopers. I'll never get a good look like this again. We even were able to capture the stormtrooper, you know, one of the stormtroopers who actually moves. He was checking us out. I wonder though why they didn't hold guests up before the Ray Room, because I feel like that's bad show to have him collect there like that and have to create these ad hoc switchbacks. Got myself a front row, which I kind of like this view. This is perhaps my favorite seat, the far right seat from the front row, because I like the reference of having the droid in the shot like this and then kind of following him through our adventure. This ride really is outstanding. It really is. I mean, I need to get in this. I need to get in this more often, I think. It's weird though how sometimes I would just rather ride Mr. Toad's. I don't know what it is. What it is about classic Disneyland dark rides that makes me happy, but this is really good, great storytelling, and this is a one-of-a-kind experience. Great view of Kylo and his lightsaber here. Ion cannons are still not functioning as they should. There's no recoil, still no recoil, which really sells the whole thing. It's just not the same without that recoil. Anyway, that was fun, guys. Nice little diversion there with Finn and the rest of the Resistance. As I mentioned, 20 minutes to get to the Ray Room, 30 minutes to the Stormtroopers. Oh, and 45 minutes to get to the ride vehicle. The wait time posted is not to the ride vehicle. It's, you know, the wait time posted is to the Ray Room. That's where, per Disney, the show starts. So if it says 60 minutes, it's supposed to be 60 minutes to the Ray Room. It was a third of that. It was 20 minutes to the Ray Room. And with that, we'll head out of Galaxy's Edge into the Fantasyland exit tunnel and look at that. I was not expecting to see. We just talked last week about the de-evolution of the Stagecoach. It was there, then it was just boxes, and then it was just that green plant hiding something that was underneath some camouflage. This week, the Stagecoach is just, it's back. I don't know why it was gone or what they were doing with it while it was gone. The paint does not look especially fresh to me. That doesn't, I mean, I see, it does look a little faded. I can report that the reason why they had that plant there, what it was hiding, what was being camouflaged, was the support, the anchor to which the Stagecoach is affixed, so that it doesn't, you know, blow away or whatever. So it stays in its fixed position. So it was attached to that. I'm not sure why they felt the need to go to those lengths to hide that, but they did. And also, many folks have referred to this as the Knott's Stagecoach, and people wondered, is that because it's used to be a Knott's Stagecoach? No, it's because they use a Knott's font. This typeface is very reminiscent of the Knott's Berry Farm typeface. That W is pretty much the Knott's K. So everybody just calls it, you know, it's a nod to Knott's Berry Farm, which I think is nice. I think that's cool that they recognize their competing park. Keep heading down the trail to Fantasyland, where last week we saw the Scrim and scaffolding up all over the place in Fantasyland, as it was last week for the Red Rose Tavern and the restrooms. Meanwhile, Toad's is open, but I had wondered if they were going to take down half of that Scrim. No, they didn't. They didn't take it down. The Toad Scrim is still up, but the attraction is open. Guests can still enjoy the ride. There's the queue heading in. Peter Pan, still closed, and it will be for a little while still. By the way, Toad's is going to go down again. Just like Alice in Wonderland, Toad's will be closing again on July 24th. We don't have a return date yet, but it will be closing again on July 24th. Let's go to Toontown. Walls are still down here in Toontown. Grass looks great. Although I think the walls might be back up. If I am able to, I might have a picture of those walls being back up again in Toontown. But as of this recording, they were down. Centennial Park looks about right. Meanwhile, over at Goofy's Play Yard, still no birdhouse. Seesaws are still gone. And the splash pad is still not open at Donald's Boat. It was supposed to be back open by summer. So hopefully that will be the case. I mean, we still got a lot of summer, all of it, to go still, but still no splash pad. And it looks quiet here. This is the quietest that I've seen as we leave Toontown. This is the quietest I've seen this land since it reopened. But part of that has to do with this being a Sunday, which has become the slowest day of the week in the parks. Has been that way for a while now. But still quite busy. Still plenty busy. We'll leave Fantasyland. Look at that Matterhorn back there. Fantastic. But never mind that. We're going on the monorail to check in on the downtown Disney construction. Pretty soon, this is going to be very uneventful to look at because this structure, the main structure, is going to block our view of literally everything. I mean, all we can see now are the cinder block walls for the primary structure and the steel, steel structure being put in behind it. Not a lot to report on here. You can't really see anything. Everything worth watching now is going to be happening down in this lower right corner as we finish our pass by. Last week we questioned what in the heck were those track-like looking developments there in the dirt area next to the tree. I had kind of had a feeling that it was something that was going to be below grade. It hadn't anything to do with, show per se, and that does look to be the case. You can see that they put concrete in since then, and obviously that that concrete is the new ground level. My guess is whatever that pattern is that they're developing is likely just to give the walkways a little more color, a little more character, possibly for irrigation, but I feel like that, I don't know, it's doubtful. I feel like that's just aesthetic. And you can see, by the way, that there's more rebar put in place over here on this section to illustrate where they're going to be putting in more concrete to meet this new ground level that they've created. I can say, though, I'm pretty positive that the raised concrete, the concrete area that is above the ground level, that's going to be a seating area around a tree planter, which is consistent, which is typical of downtown Disney. There's a lot of that. All the planters, you can sit on all of the all the planters or around all the planters. So that's going to be consistent with that that design element. Nothing new to report from Catal and Uva Bar. Looks just as we left it last week. We'll head over to the hotels, check in on the DVC Tower. I mean, that looks done from the front. There's still plenty of work to do on the backside, which maybe one of these days I'll get out there on Walnut Avenue and see what I can see, but it's doubtful. It'll be very interesting. Not much to see here. This is, the area below the suites, the lobby, and I'm not sure what that open air area is going to be. I wonder if you're going to be able to drive up to this from the opposite side, from Walnut. I wonder. Yeah, this looks pretty much done. There might be a few, finer details, theming elements that they might add, but this is otherwise looking done. Pixar Place Hotel next. The interiors look as we left them last week. And still no update on, we're a long way off, I think, from seeing the Great Maple Restaurant. But this structure out here looks to be the outdoor dining area. I think it's outdoor, or at least partially outdoor dining, for Great Maple that we've seen in the concept art. And if you look at the concept art they have inside for Great Maple, that area is way back there in the background. We see where that fire is. That's what they're constructionizing out there right now, is that area. The rest of the Great Maple Restaurant is going to be where the old buffet, what they call it? The surf something, whatever. I don't remember it. This right about there on the left is where you would have, the buffet serving stations would have been. And where now is whatever this creation is that I cannot wait to find out what that tastes like. That looks amazing. We'll conclude with a quick trip into California Adventure. Rogers the Musical. We're just, 10 days away? No, 11 days away from the reopening of Rogers the Musical, opening June 30th for a limited time only. We don't know yet what limited time means. No update from the mysterious walls outside of the Avengers headquarters. I have no idea what's happening here. But right behind us, they have brought the Humvee back that used to be right about where I'm standing. The Humvee is back, and so too is a stage. They've set up a stage, which I presume is for some kind of meet and greet. A new one, a new meet and greet. And my first thought was Black Widow, but no, that's probably for Secret Invasion. That film or that show is airing in just less than a week on Disney Plus. So that's probably Secret Invasion. I wonder though, because who are they going to bring out? Who are it's Nick Fury, right? Are they gonna bring out Nick Fury? Let's go to San Franokyo next, where the scrim and walls have been removed. That were covering the Pacific Wharf and out there by Ghirardelli's, to reveal a whole bunch of new. All the art has been revealed. We can see everything now. Salt and Sea Packing Company, WindSync Clean Technology, and meanwhile Rita's Turbine Blenders. They've got art for that as well, which that's actually that building right there that used to be Rita's Baja Blenders. Rita's Baja Blenders is going to turn into Rita's Turbine Blenders, and it'll look exactly the same. They're probably not even going to paint it. They're just going to put a new sign up there. San Franokyo Tribune is now posted there. That's where the boating tour is, that building. And I'm not sure if we covered this before, but there's the Wharfside Travel Agency, which we have seen on the opposite side, the other side of there of the wharf. We've seen that art out there with a bunch of other stuff, which we've reported on. But we finally have closure. I'm so excited for this. We finally have closure on what San Franokyo is the proud home of. For the longest time, there was nothing there, but now we can see that San Franokyo is the proud home of the Golden State Samurai and the Murasaki Emperors, and then whatever. The Samurai are basketball, the Emperors are football, and I assume whatever that other logo is baseball. It looks kind of like the Angels logo from the 90s. Oh, and before we leave, they have installed some siding now. They're at the siding stage of construction over at the Cerveceria at Cocina Cucamonga. Next up is, what, drywall, I guess? We'll see. And on our way out, we'll take a quick stop at Mater's Junkyard Jamboree, where walls are still up. The left side is still closed. The right side is still open. Walls are still up, but I don't think it's going to be much longer here, because as you can see, the turntables that look to have been opened or being worked on are now back in place. That looks more or less restored, and we can see that the tractors are still, they're in their place. So the fact that they didn't or haven't, either they didn't remove the tractors or they've already brought them back, suggests to me that they're probably not far away from finishing whatever it is that they're doing here at Mater's Junkyard Jamboree. And that, Fresh Baked, is our report for this week. Thank you so much for tuning in. Love you guys. Stay tuned next week for another construction update. We do these every single week, along with some other features here at Fresh Baked Disney. What's new at Disneyland, and the State of Disneyland reports, etc. Stay tuned for more from Fresh Baked. We will keep you up to date on what's happening at the Disneyland Resort. Until next time, be safe, be kind, and Fresh Baked.